Good afternoon. Welcome to Inside Salem. I'm your host, Mike Allen. On this show, we try to give you more information from behind the scenes to add to the headlines you read about in the newspaper and here on the street. For that reason, we have assembled a group of people with a large background here in the city of Salem with a lot of expertise. And they are Teasie Riley-Goggin, political analyst.
Nice being here, Mike. Thank you.
Domingo Dominguez, former counselor at large.
Thank you, Mike.
Tom Furey, former school committee member, former counselor at large and current planning board member.
Thanks, Mike.
And Attorney Jim Fleming, former Ward 6 city councilor and former school committee member.
Could I take a minute for a second here?
Sure.
I was on vacation, and I guess I missed the party of the year. That was the 39th birthday of Teasie Riley-Goggin.
Ah, okay.
I apologize.
39,
I
huh?
apologize to all of you, and I apologize to her. Missing her 39th, yes.
Okay. Very good.
39 and holding.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Okay.
not many people are given the party that I was given. Number one, I was a surprise party, and I was outfoxed. And
It's hard to outfox you, too.
I tried to keep ahead of, but it was just wonderful. I would say that there was more politicians underneath one roof on a rainy, cold night down by Commercial Street than I've seen in a long, long time, if ever.
Oh, you deserve it. I'm sorry.
It was wonderful. I had a
Okay.
wonderful time. And they did a wonderful job. And I wouldn't want them, if I had known, I would have said no. But I'm glad that they did it because I had a great time.
Good-
It was
good for you.
great.
Good for you.
Okay. Some of the topics we're going to be talking about is before the city council is information for new regulations for tour guides. The school budget is going to be absorbing the pre-K, pre-kindergarten cost. They're asking for a 4.8% increase year over year. Of course, flooding we'll be talking about. And governor is pushing for pushing a affordable housing plan. And the festivals that we have in town are requesting financial support from the city. So some of those are some of the topics we'll be talking about. Before we get into any of the topics, just one thing. There are a few things to say here, and I'm going to toss it over to TC. Is that longtime Salem Now host and on the road host, and here on Access TV, passed that Leo Jordan, and so we'll be talking about in a moment. Just want to talk about a couple of the ways that you can view this show. This show can be viewed here, obviously, here on Channel 22 to get the schedule, because it runs, 3 or 4 times a week. To get the schedule, you can go to the SATV website, and it tells you the schedule for the different shows. And the other way to do it is relatively new. You just, say YouTube, Inside Salem, April 2024. And up it should pop, and those are the ways to do it. Okay, TC, if you'd like to jump in here.
Well, yes, I would like to talk about Leo first and foremost. The idea that Leo Jordan was well known in the city of Salem and the North Shore and beyond that for his band when he was younger. But then he, as he moved along in age, he picked up TV and he went with it, with Salem Now. He interviewed, I would say, the majority of politicians here in the city and had a wonderful time doing it. But you never knew what he was going to throw at you. And many people got surprised. But Leo had something special. He really and truly did, right? His honesty could sometimes be almost brutal for some people because he always spoke the truth. And I know that there's many others who want talk about him, but I also want to express sympathy, to his sisters. Gloria is right here. She is has a job, an office job up at Home Depot, and but she always was right there for her brother, as he was for her. He had a wonderful mother, to say the least. And now I'll turn it over to the rest so they can do their praising.
I had the great opportunity to meet Leo almost 30 years ago, and I had the opportunity to go. One of the first shows that he made on the road happened to be on the Point, and he selected me to be with him and introduce him to many of the businesses. At that time, it was a lot of Latino living in the area, and I was admired by the way he was conducting himself to everyone and embracing the newcomers. At that moment was the Dominican community that was placed in the Point. From that time on, every time he had the opportunity, he invited me to his show, and he always gave me a great welcome. He always made me feel part of not only his group, but made me feel part of the city of Salem in many, many, many ways. So good memories, and we developed a good relationship, and I'm very sorry for his past. And I want to say my condolence for the family, and I think that Salem lost a great man.
Okay.
Like Teasie Riley's birthday party, 39 in Holding, was a great turnout by a lot of good people, a lot of good fans of yours. And we, Domingo and I, had an opportunity to give him a city seal at the city council, standing room crowd only. And we gave him a city seal for his program. And it was like a window on Main Street, his program. He could interview anybody and everybody. And he gave him an honest, frank interview. I was on the program a couple of times myself, and he was a joy. He brought Salem into our living rooms, like our bedrooms and kitchens on TV on this very program. Everywhere in Salem he would go. And he knew everyone. So Leo the Lion will be really missed. Or Mrs. Ty, Leo the Lion tie that he always wore. Yeah. Jim, you want to say?
Yeah, Salem's going to miss him. He was an institution. And he did tell the truth most of the time. He never admitted that we were the longest running program. Mm. And he always thought he was the longest running program. This was the longest running.
True.
Okay.
Yeah, but the other thing is, we have right here still taping is Pat Reed, who was one of his main people. He had 2 gals with him for a long, long time. But I will tell you, his band member, who was his drummer of this band, Paul, I can't remember his last name, Rinkowski or something like that, was with him right to the very, very end. He was with Leo. He took Leo out. He was in for rehab. He knew that he was sick, and but it didn't matter. Paul kept us informed, and he always would call Leo's cousin Andy LaPointe, and Cheryl, because they were his cousins, and let him know. And when Leo passed, and the other thing I want to mention is that not only did he have his Salem Now, but he also had his On the Road show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he really did go out there, and find people on the road, whether they wanted to be found or not. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe you mentioned Jerry Ryan's mother, who passed away too.
Okay.
And,
Jerry Ryan, former city councilor, and also a panel member on this show, a few times.
Yeah.
Back a few years ago, about 10 years ago.
Also, Teresa Miskevich was a longtime teacher at Salem High School, along with her sister. Tara's in the classroom. Really nice woman.
Right.
Very nice.
I went to the funeral, and it was a beautiful tribute. It filled the house, filled St. Thomas's Church, and it was a great celebration of a life. 14 children, 30 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren. Dr. Ryan, who passed away 10 years ago, I lost against Dr. Ryan in 1977 for school committee. He beat me for school committee, and he was a distinguished member of the community, coach to many of his children, great dentist to the city of Salem, to the school system, a great father, great role model. And the mother was just a role model. She'd wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning sometimes and go down to the YMCA and work out and swim
Great
down
swimmer.
the YMCA.
Great swimmer. She actually made a commercial.
Amazing.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. And I had the opportunity to meet her, and what a sweet lady. She, I can remember her once during campaign season where it was very cold, and I was to stand up next to her. She was holding her son, Jerry Ryan, and she saw me, you know, with my hand without glove, and she just got a couple of gloves and gave it to me at that moment, and that made my day. I never forgot that. Never forgot.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Ann Butler Ryan was probably, without a doubt, one of the nicest, one of the greatest people that I've met in my entire life. She was her own person. She was a wonderful wife and an outstanding mother. And it was the announced, you know, when they gave the story of Ann about the fact that 14 children, but she made each and every one of them feel as if they were the most important person in the world.
Absolutely.
She had that knack. She graduated second in her class. Now, I can't remember exactly, but I think, did she graduate from St. James, second in her class?
Yeah, yes.
And she also got a full scholarship, I think, to Emmanuel.
Wow.
And I know she taught for a while at the Carlton School, and she did teach at the high school.
She served as his assistant for a long, long time.
Yeah. But she also, I will add that with the 14 children, the thing they talked about was that she and her husband, Doc, as we always called him, he would leave the practice of dentistry, go home, scrub up his hands, roll up his sleeves, and pitch in. They worked together.
Right.
They were high school sweethearts. And actually, they were sweethearts to the day he died. And it was just a wonderful story.
They were park instructors, too, at one time.
Yes.
Yes,
Yep.
they were. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Now I'd like, could I take time
Sure.
for, on June 1st, we will be having Senior
we?
Day here in the city.
Okay.
And it's going to be, I believe, co-sponsored by the Council on Aging. And inside the Council on Aging, there's that Friends of the Council of Aging, a fundraising group. And it's going to be held at Forest River. And I'm going to tell the people, if you're listening that right now and you hear what I'm saying, tell the rest of the seniors that first come, first served, and that you can call in right now to Rosanna and reserve your
Rosanna
tickets.
Donahue?
Your tickets.
Yeah.
Rosanna
Because
Donahue.
it's going to be limited.
Rosanna Donahue.
Rosanna
Rosanna
Donahue.
Donahue.
Right. Okay, yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
And what's the telephone number for the senior center?
0924 744
So
0924.
978-744-0924.
Yes.
Okay, you're asking for
Yes, and
Rosanna
it's-
Donahue.
Yes, it's going to
Okay.
be a cookout, and if I remember the time, I think it's 11 to 3, but don't quote me on it.
Okay.
Find out for yourself.
Okay, and you say this is June 1st?
June 1st,
Okay.
rain or shine, they're going to have, we're paying to have a very large tent set up.
Okay, yeah.
That's, the friends are having that done.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
and you say this is a fundraiser?
No, it is not a fundraiser.
Not a fundraiser.
Celebration for seniors.
No, it's
Okay.
just it's put on for the seniors. This is not Heritage Day. This is just Senior Day.
Okay,
We don't have a senior center only, but this is Seniors Only Day.
okay, very good. Ready to roll, are we? Okay. First topic is school budget. They're looking for a 4.8% increase. Part of the reason for the increase is to absorb the pre-kindergarten cost into the budget, since the money from the federal government, the pandemic money, has run out. Jim, you were on the school committee.
I ran on that issue for almost 8 years. It's a very important issue. Pre-kindergarten education by the kids of Salem is a great head start for education of those children. It is absolutely necessary in today's time, and there is no other way to fund it other than through the school budget itself.
Okay.
I'm proud of the superintendent and the rest of the school committee put that in the budget, and it will continue to have a first-class pre-kindergarten program.
Okay.
Dr. Brendan Walsh, who was a member of this panel here,
Yeah.
would be very proud of that because he was a pioneer of early childhood education. And that's where you get the kids. Get them early, target them early, reading
Yeah,
skills, life
that's
skills.
early intervention, is it not? Don't we have
Early
that here?
intervention.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's look. You got to start them as early as you can. If you can't get them in the crib, you get them in the pre-K. Okay, this is where they learn because they get to learn by the second or third grade to read, or else they're done. They're done, and that's unfair. So I applaud the superintendent and I applaud the school committee for doing so.
Okay. In a related topic, the state has expanded and is giving Salem some extra money for pre-K,
Right.
pre-kindergarten schooling. So the state itself is stepping up
The governor
with some
recognized
additional income, as
the need
additional
for
money as
pre-K.
well.
Correct.
But-
We have a daycare center at the high school too. That gets help.
That's right.
And that's a wonderful for keeping students in school. They may have children, but it's very important to stay in school, fulfill their educational obligations, and be part of the working community with that
Okay.
daycare center.
Did anyone read the article that was in the Boston Globe mentioning the governor about early intervention and all the needs of things, where she talked about her lieutenant governor, because lieutenant governor's job was not that important. They didn't have that many jobs to do. But she said she's changing that this year
Yeah.
with Kim Driscoll, who was our mayor
Mayor
here
of
in Salem,
Salem
was
for
well
many
known.
years. Yep.
But she also said, and part of the reason is because the Lieutenant Governor, Kim Driscoll, is the one that raised the scores of reading here in Salem, which was news to me.
News
so
to
I
me,
was going
too.
to ask
I was
you.
at the school committee.
Yeah, I mean,
I was at the school committee. I don't remember Kim being responsible for the raising of reading scores. Don't remember.
I don't remember that.
Okay, one question. I mean, I haven't done the research in a few years, but the research I had done in the past indicated that the city of Salem was very low on results in that regard, and amongst the highest in the state in terms of per student spending.
That's what I
So,
remember.
That's correct.
And considering the number of years and that Mayor Driscoll, I know that Lieutenant Governor Driscoll was Mayor Driscoll, it just seems like that could be laid at her lap because it was not as good when she left as when she took over.
You have to understand it's a high.
And I was on the school committee when she took over as the
It's a
state.
high diversity in terms of the population of Salem schools.
Yeah.
But there is a need for pre-K and others
Yeah.
to get that learning going early as you can, because as I said before, you don't learn by second or third grade to read.
Yeah.
You're way, way behind in life.
Yeah.
That's what they say, third grade, and I will
Third
attest
grade
to
at
it.
the most.
Yeah, right.
Okay, but again, we talk about a difficult population in Salem, and I won't dispute that. But there's also, I would say, a more difficult population in the cities of Lynn and Lawrence.
I agree.
And
I agree.
their results, I think, are better
Was
than
higher.
Salem.
They're better.
So, I can't look at, I can't, I am quite surprised. I did not read that article in the Globe. I am quite surprised that
Puff.
that would be touted as
Puff.
a feather in her cap because it sort of defies reality.
I read that
Seems
article too. On the front page of the Globe, two-part article on Kim Driscoll being lieutenant governor. She's the go-to person. Even during a recent teacher strike in our local community, it was on teacher strike for 11 days. The mayor of that community called our lieutenant governor up constantly saying, what's it like to be chairman of a school committee and so on there. So she's the go-to person. She's a very visible, active lieutenant governor.
Yes, but the other thing is She might be an actor lieutenant governor, but I want to know, are you saying that Kim did raise the scores? Because
No, I didn't say that.
I'm going to ask some teachers out there.
No, she
that,
didn't. I'll tell you right now, she didn't. I'll tell you, I was sitting there
First of all, I don't think the scores were raised.
I know.
I was sitting there for 20 years. 17 of which was next to her.
I know.
But who did she get to pick as the
But
head
I
of
don't know.
education?
But the only thing is, the lieutenant, the governor was here for the muster. Do you have that coming up?
No, I do not.
Because she was here to speak, and when she walked up, and before she spoke, she looked over to the right, which the lieutenant governor is usually to the right-hand side. And she said, the lieutenant governor is not here today. Or should I say, my boss. Because we know how domineering that lieutenant governor was when she was the
I
man
don't think
here.
I don't think
my boss.
I don't think I would.
But
shed any tears
the headlines in the Globe
Governor
was,
Healy, I think she can hold her own.
Governor
Yeah,
Healy can.
yeah, I think she holds her
Governor Healy
own.
was
but the
Harvard
headlines in the
graduate.
paper,
Yeah,
you should look it up, or find it, or I'll find it for and get you a copy, because it is Shotgun Wedding. That's the headlines of it.
Huh. Okay.
That says a lot, doesn't it?
I taught 20 years in Lynn, and Mayor Kim Driscoll, when she became lieutenant governor, was instrumental in getting the superintendent of schools, Dr. Tutwiler, to be the director of education, the state education director.
Secretary of Education.
Secretary of Education. He knows the population of Salem very well, as you mentioned, Salem and Lynn. It's a very diverse, challenging population. Jim served on the school committee. I served on the school committee for 12 years. I adopted 5 children from diverse backgrounds.
Yeah.
Diverse. And City of Salem is diverse.
Yeah.
You know, do you get a bonus from Kim Driscoll? Because you're her cheerleader.
I'm a proud cheerleader. Very proud.
Yeah.
I served
Okay.
17 years with her. Proud.
Okay.
Honored.
The Salem Career Technical Institute graduates its first class. That's something that came under your watch and when you were on the school committee. Do you want to elaborate on what that is?
It's an instrument whereby children are trained in a very specific profession that they can step into the day they leave high school.
Yeah.
And there's going to be plenty of jobs there, believe me.
Yeah.
And they'll all be employed, and they'll all contribute very greatly to the city of Salem.
Okay.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy that we can see some results in that regard. I think that's a well needed program for today's society. Give it some tool to our kids so they can come out to the society and be productive right away. And then if they want to continue and pursue a career in college, they have at least a temporary job so they can move on.
Yeah.
I think that we may be trailing in reading, but we're leading in career education. Career education.
Yeah, and that that's very good. I mean, you try calling an electrician or plumber or any of these type of servicemen, auto mechanics. I mean, it ain't cheap. It ain't cheap, and they've got a long waiting list.
But I will tell you, they have to be able to read with the cars of today.
Yeah.
But then they can read schematics and understand them. This is why I say it's not always, what you hear coming out of someone's mouth. It's the gift that comes out of their hands.
Yeah.
It's a talent. And that all comes from our brain.
Yeah.
We all have different forms of expressing our knowledge.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. City of Salem is taking up, I'm not sure what phase it is, it's just starting, but talking about new regulations for tour guides. And the tour guides themselves are, I guess, a bit up in arms about the proposed changes so far. And obviously we're just at the beginning of a long process. Yeah.
Do you know how many tour guides there are in
I
Salem?
think it was 250 I read or something like that.
I said 50. And someone laughed and said, try 175.
Yeah.
But these guides are not just people from Salem North Shore.
Yeah.
These people come from throughout They're developers. They are big corporations, or call them what you want, developed. They have them in other states, and they send them around into communities to make money.
Yeah.
I know that there's someone in this city that made either $2 or $3 million last year
Wow.
as a tour guide.
The tour guide,
Tour guide.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, I'm
and-
a little
oh,
skeptical of
I don't
that.
believe it. I don't believe it.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But now they want to say, all right, if you have so many in your group, it's going to cost you $100. So many more here.
That's right.
And they have it all the way up. And if you go against that and they catch you, you're going to be fined.
Yeah, it is a very lucrative.
Very
way.
lucrative.
Yeah, but beside that, I think it's very well overdue that the regulation from the city of Salem come and do something about it, because in some regard, in some instance, create some type of difficulty for the local people that live here. Quality of life is one of the big aspects of any city, and we as a visitor city need to make sure that we make sure that our people who live here have peace and they can also continue to develop. And we're not having that regulation that creates some issue. Remember when I was sitting down in city council, that topic was brought out to us, and we actually, I think, waiting too long to do it. I think it's we're overdue right now.
Yeah, you know, the one thing they have to do, I believe it would be helpful if we had spotters or ambassadors that we hire here in the city to go out and make appointments with some of these guides that set up different things, because I'll tell you, I have stood alongside of some of the groups and listened to what they were saying. They used to be outside of City Hall lots of evenings when I would be coming out or going in or whatever. And I will tell you, I heard so many lies, I couldn't believe it.
Exaggerations. I don't think they're lying.
No, they were not just exaggerations.
No, but I don't think they're lies either. I don't
All right.
I mean, a couple of things. I do know that, a lot of the tour guides are longtime Salem residents. A lot of them were started up by Salem businesses, longtime Salem businesses. And I can't talk about, how many outside versus inside. But one of the things that, and I've talked about this in other capacity regarding, and this is related to, being the witch city, our October inconvenience to the residents, and just that the flip side of that is that the businesses, because there is such a strong business, there is more income generated for the city of Salem, which, in spite of the fact that we don't have particularly low taxes, would be higher still to maintain the same services we had if we did not have, this vibrant business based on the Halloween
history of Salem.
Hysteria or whatever.
Hysteria.
Halloween mania.
Yeah.
But,
give credit to Domingo and I. When Domingo and I served on the city council, we set a standard. We had the tour guides take a test, a 100-question test on Salem, and they had to be trained to know about these questions to make sure they're all speaking in one voice. But a lot of these tour groups, 10, 15, 20, 30, 24/7 in Salem, morning, noon, and night. So this is a way to get a fee out of them. I think people who take these tours would give $1 or $2 a part of that fee to go to fund haunted happenings. It should come from them. They're coming from all around to get the history of Salem in the correct way.
yeah. Again, the numbers I saw for the new inflated price is not much more than what a business has to pay every year for their to sell candy bars in their store,
Right.
So I don't see it as necessarily as being unreasonable. I also look at, and they say they talk about limiting the tour size to like 40 people. Was one of the things I think I saw. I mean, I don't think that's unreasonable. They talked about having, that one tour can't be within a certain distance of another tour. And I've seen, things where you had tours next to each other, a group of, a couple hundred people there, and you can't walk down the sidewalk. So there is problems associated with the tour guides and the tours. On the other hand, again, it does, it is a business that generates revenue for the city of Salem, which goes towards the schools and the police and the fire and all that. And on the whole, it's a net plus financially. So it just my advice to the city council is, be careful, and advice to, the residents of Salem, recognize that there is a benefit for the resident who's not going on these tours that these outside people are spending money on. So it's just, something to keep in mind.
But it goes year round now. It's not just a few months here or there.
It may be, but how many tours are happening in January? I mean, not a whole lot. I mean, I'm not saying that you don't see them. Obviously, we're talking, the month of October is obviously particularly jammed, and then you're starting probably, once the school year ends, through to the end of October is probably the busiest season. And I saw a tour the other day, happening, but there were like 8 or 10 people in it, as opposed to what you're going to see in a few months where they're going to be 2 or 3 times that.
I would say that they all should be like Jim McAllister.
That's right.
Yeah.
He is terrific.
Yeah.
I ever took one of his tours. I listened to Jim McAllister in a lecture. He knows Salem inside and out.
Yeah, he was
I'm very confident that the city council will come with a greater final decision. I just know that it was sent to the Community and Economic Development Committee, so they can actually hear more from the people and make the decision based on information that they're going to need. And I think they're going to put in balance the quality of life for the people that live here, the business aspect that you mentioned, Mike, and also all of the points that make a great successful living here in Salem. So I got confident that they're going to come with a great result.
Okay. But they're a guide. What we think of is the places that they go and the places that are open and everything. One of the greatest ones I walked around with was when they did tours of the Point, as we refer to it, out through Congress Street area. This area, Congress Street out here, has very, very many wonderful places to be pointed out if you know the history.
Yeah, there is a map, I guess, of some sort where they have all these murals on the walls, of which the bulk of them are in the Point neighborhood. And you have a map, and it's like you go and, on this building, it's done by such and such, and that type of thing. So there is a tour thing. I'm not sure if there's a tour. I'm sure there is a tour.
All the areas of Salem are rich culturally and historically.
Yeah.
You cannot find an area in Salem that does not qualify as rich in culture and rich in history.
Yeah,
I agree.
Okay.
We all have our own cultures, each neighborhood.
That's right.
Like each school, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. There is 3 things, and I could only remember 2 of them as I was preparing for this thing, is we're starting to get a little pushback from the taxpayers. 2 cases in point was the Beverly Library, which they were talking about $18 million to remodel this by putting in this, and part of the major cost was this, newfangled geothermal heating and cooling system that's, green energy on steroids, and that was, voted down. And the other thing was Whittier Tech, which is up in the Ipswich is part of it, and
it's Haverhill.
Haverhill, but Ipswich school system was part of that. And it's and they were looking for like $460 million to rebuild that Whittier Tech, and that was voted down by the member communities. And there was a third one as well, but I forgot what it was by the time I wrote this. But anyways, I just look at these things and I just say
Saugus Wakefield. I think it was.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, I think whatever that district is called.
So the thing is this. I mean, I just think that the taxpayers need to speak up on these type of things, because I mean, some of these proposals are so darned expensive. When you look at a Whittier Tech, which has, whatever number of students, and they're looking and saying, wait a second, they're spending $1 million a student to build this thing. It's crazy type numbers. And I mean, one of the things that I talk about when it comes up is the proposed, second train station in Salem, near, Salem State University, where they talk about, no physical station, no parking garage or anything like this, and it's just a stop. And they're talking about $25 million. I mean, it's just, the state and the federal government and the city governments, they just toss around money like it's not their money. Oh, and it's not their money. But they forget that sometimes. So it's just, they need to remember, and it's good that the taxpayers in these cases starting to wake up to that fact. But anyways.
It's a good day to say that, Mike, because it's a day after taxes were due, and people, for the most part, were shocked at what they were paying.
Yeah.
Tax day was yesterday or the day before or the day before.
Yeah.
15.
But, a couple of things here, and this was from a couple of months ago, and I put it on here to, sort of, if we had time in the end. But I'm going to squeeze it in here now because, again, it sort of just, raised up my eyebrows about it. On February 15th, there was an article in the newspaper that the state legislature is talking about raising the juvenile age for when they can be charged from a crime, which is currently 18. And they're saying that the juveniles are not really wise enough to make a decision at that point in time about that, and should not have their whole life ruined because of youthful indiscretion. And I won't
thought that was why we had a juvenile court.
Right. Again, I won't argue it.
Raise
the age of when
I
you
know
actually
that,
go.
but I'm just saying.
That's whatever the age is, the juvenile court will serve.
Yeah, so the juvenile court would go
to
into, like,
that
people
age.
up under, say, let's just say 21 would be eligible for juvenile court, which now it has to be 18. Okay.
Isn't 21 the age that you're allowed to be citizens or vote?
Yeah. So, anyways, and this is juxtaposed, and this is the point of it, was juxtaposed to the next day's paper where it says Swampscott to lower voting age for their local elections. So they're saying that their under 18-year-olds are wise enough to make this important decision of voting, where the state legislature is saying that these youngsters are too dumb to know that committing a crime can affect their future. Anyone has anything to say
When
about
the Vietnam War came about, God bless Jim for serving in the Vietnam War, one of the major reasons why the 18-year-old vote came about, and it was before that time, it was 21 to vote, was the 18-year-old vote. Jim served admirably, courageously for our country. That the 18-year-old was going off to war and fighting for war. It was his right to vote. Instead of the Congress people telling them, and they wouldn't send their sons and daughters to Vietnam.
Right.
The young 18-year-olds could vote. And they can vote. And I think that's an opportunity for the future. We don't have civics anymore in the school. We should have civics teaching the government on the local level, state, and national level. But I think we should encourage our young people to vote. It's the all-time low of the voting of the young people under 35 voting. So if we can encourage 17-year-olds, well-trained, educated in the civics program at the high school or middle school level, I think it would be a win-win. I think Swampscott's ahead. Swampscott also did the 4-day week in their town government under town manager Sean Fitzgerald. He has a 4-day work week, which Bernie Sanders wants on a national level, a 4-day week. So Swampscott sometimes is way ahead of his time sometimes. I admire Swampscott to do that.
It seems to me that you should actually have the program in place. I mean, in other words, you're not going to go to a doctor before they get past their medical exam and have them perform a tonsillectomy. And it's sort of the same idea. You're going to saying these 17s you can vote, but we're not teaching you civics, so you don't have any idea what government is about or the separation of powers. I mean, people just don't know what even those terms even mean nowadays.
We all took civics there ourselves in school.
Absolutely.
Now, hopefully it will come back, civics.
Yeah, I know.
I thought they were bringing that back. I mean, there's a great need for it. But, you know,
civics still taught. There is.
but there's,
History and civics kind of combined.
but 18 is the age you can do so many things, right? I personally, I think that they should be able to vote when they're 18.
They can.
Yeah.
They can.
But I'm just saying, I'm backing up that decision.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all they have to do is look and say, all right, is it working? When they're 19, do they vote? Or did it wear off already?
Well, it doesn't matter if they vote or not. I mean, 35%, only 65% of the people aren't voting in most elections. So it doesn't matter what age group it is. And a younger age group is may or may not be less statistically or whatever, but that really doesn't matter to the point of the discussion. Again, you're saying, even with the 18-year-old thing, you have to be 18 years old to vote, but so you're wise enough, theoretically, you're wise enough to choose the direction of the country or the direction of your city, the direction of the state, and you're not wise enough to determine whether or not you can have a beer.
I have a problem with that issue and another issue. This should be a state question. It shouldn't be just Swampscott voting at 16 or 17.
Well, that's for their local election, so we don't, it only affects them.
I understand that,
yeah.
but it's still, it's like this question that's going to be on the ballot here about choice vote rank voting. It should not be a singular city voting on that. It should be universally Massachusetts.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they will not have my support.
Yeah.
Well, some people are never ready. As far as I'm concerned, some people never grow up. The Catholic Church would say that the age of reason was 7 when you made your first communion, right? And then another age was for confirmation. But I'm saying, but some people, they never seem to have what I call good reasoning skills.
That's why we have separation of church and state.
Right.
Well, I mean, obviously in this country, in the last presidential election, we had, 70 million people voting one way, 80 million people voting the other way. So we had either 70 million people being wrong about the direction of the country or 80 million people being wrong about the direction of the country. And, people have different opinions about, things, even if they sit down and think about the issues. So that's not, if someone is making a effort to, see the information regarding a topic and voting, whether they vote the same way I do or not the same way I do, at least they're making, but you get some people that are going in there and I don't know anyone's name on this ballot. Well, I like the sound of this person's name. Let me check. That person has the same first name as me.
That's like going to the horse races,
and
right?
that's what, that's what my concern is, and that's why I say it's not important to have a gross number of people turning out. What's important to have people who have, done at least some research turning out to vote.
Example of that is in a multiple race, the top name on the ballot, no matter who it is gets 10% of the more of the vote than the rest of the ballot.
Yeah.
Just by being the top.
Yeah.
No other reason.
Yeah, and that's again, it goes back and it shows that, and then the bottom one gets like a 5% boost.
Right.
Because some people start at the bottom. Some people start at the top, some people start at the bottom.
They get to the top, they've exercised 3 votes. Voting for.
Well, I think the big thing is that we have to promote and hope and pray that we have more leaders in our government, so that our young people growing up and taking a look is not only to look to their own parents. Some people have both parents, some people don't have, some have friends that they look at. But we have Congress right now that I look at, and they're talking about, don't throw democracy away because you're not practicing it. Huh. Our Congress better get their act together. I think we should just throw them all out. That's democracy.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I mean, the polls all say that Congress has got an approval rating of like 4 or something like that. That's an exaggeration. But they keep re-electing their congressmen.
Right,
So
right.
you know, so it's a. But part of it is the power thing. I mean, if you have someone who's been in there 20 years and they're on top of the
Appropriations Committee.
Appropriation Committee, you know your area is going to get that new, high school football stadium that you're looking for. You have much better chance of that, so you're going to vote for that. I remember, years ago having an argument with someone regarding, someone said to me, how can people keep voting for, Billy Bulger? And I said, well, if you're in his district, you can see all these things that he's. Oh yeah, this park, this building, whatever.
Right.
You're going to vote for that. I mean, so it's that's part of the problem, the patronage, and which is why a lot of times people talk about, they keep trying to push term limits of some sort.
Yeah, you get that bridge to nowhere.
Yeah, that was
She never got it.
a Republican senator out in Alaska.
Alaska.
Stevens.
She never got it.
Yeah, it never get done, but it was approved at one point, wasn't it? And then because of the.
I'm not sure of that.
Okay, I thought in the initial round it was
could have
approved.
been, I'm not
yeah,
sure.
but neither do I, because it never did get built, and was just reasonable. Festivals. So requesting, or at least one festival had requested financial support. One of the festivals they're running, and then so the question arose whether or not the city should, kick in money for, the different festivals that that enhance livability of the city, maybe, or draws in tourists, whatever. Almost like a TIF in a way it would be.
I'd leave it to the chamber. Not involve government at all. Not involve government money. I'd leave it to the chamber. If they thought that a festival, the Seaside Festival, or whatever, was in trouble, it should be the chamber through the collective membership of business.
Right. If it's good for the business, I don't disagree with that. I mean, one of the things Destination Salem, which gets, I think it has a budget of about $250,000.
Right.
I mean, it would also fall under the auspices of that.
Right.
So I can see the logic of, giving some of the festivals. On the other hand, these festivals started up, for most part, for people to make money.
Make money.
That was their goal.
Right.
So the question. So it doesn't seem like a logical thing for me. I know that we lose money. We get sponsors for it, so we may get enough. Like for the 4th of July fireworks, we lose money on that thing there. I know that years ago, Mary Yusevich, because it was going to fall by the wayside, she started doing a fundraising when her husband was mayor. And she did a good job with that. And so since that time, there's been sponsors found to pay for that rather than just being out of the city budget. Because at that time there was a problem. The city budget was stretched pretty thin.
Right. I don't see any reason that it still should revert to the city now.
Yeah.
I think it should be chamber, Destination Salem, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the business community can do, fine.
Well, just imagine Marathon Monday. Look at the money that the city of Boston, not only Marathon Monday, but the people coming here to be here and stay for days.
I agree, but you don't understand the cost either. If you watched the race yesterday, there must have been 100,000 cops out there. They're all on overtime.
My granddaughter, Nicole Goggin, ran and finished the race in approximately 4 hours and 10 minutes.
Wonderful.
That's wonderful.
And that was good time.
Yeah.
Her last mile was 9
To finish
minutes.
in 4 days, it's a good time from my point of view.
I just want to say that a festival is a celebration of any group or any ethnicity group that kind of celebrate the heritage or they celebrate the culture, and they wanted people to know how they celebrate it. Just for example, the Hispanic festival, the Italians or any other ethnicity group, those type of group, they don't have funds. They actually wanted to make sure that people recognize that they're here, people embrace their culture, and the new generation kind of continue with that tradition. Those type of group fit into a cultural non-profit organization that
Yeah.
sometimes need some help. And I agree with Jim when he said that the Chamber of Commerce or any other institution need to be empowered to help those type of groups when
Yeah.
they need it.
That's right.
But those other festivals where you see other type of organization where they have a lot of vendors,
Yeah.
they make money out of that. Those type of festival need to be on their own and try to make it different in a
Right.
different way. But in the other hand, and just to be clear on my point, the cultural aspect of the festival need to be attained by any city, so that's kind of enrich who we are here in Salem.
Okay.
That's my
Okay.
opinion on that.
Agree?
Yeah. Okay. Since last month, there's been a few meetings talking about the tents regarding, around behind the Wendy's and along the South River there. South River Walkway, I guess it's referred. There's been protests that, against the city enforcing or doing anything to disrupt those tents. And the Congressman Seth Moulton came out backing the city's idea of that these people can't just live wherever they want, and that's the question that I have. I mean, one of the things that someone mentioned in this article in the paper is that they thought maybe the vacant property at the corner of Boston and Bridge Street might be a good place for these tents. And I asked Tom on your to see.
I spoke to the mayor,
Yeah.
and the mayor says they're working with the city council
Yeah.
and the mayor's office, but that would be a no to move the tent city
Yeah.
to that location.
Yeah.
They're going to try to keep it where it is now.
Yeah.
Move the people within a 15-mile radius, according to the city council, to get home placement and so on.
Yeah.
So that's a no for the corner of Boston and Bridge Street. That's private property too, and it's
So
like
owned by a condo association.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
the
okay,
other
and
thing, that's private property.
Yeah.
That belongs to David Sweetser.
Yeah. So my second part of this question is what is happening there, and why isn't there? You're on the
That's
planning
a
board.
good
Is there any
question.
reason?
That
why?
Oh, it is. It really is. And we don't even know on planning board.
That's
We've asked
a
that question
good
time and
question.
time again to have them come to the planning board. We asked them to come when you and I
City
served
council,
on the city council, to come before the city council.
Never come.
You know the name. We all know the name. He has not. He's the worst developer in the city of Salem. He's not developed that property. This is a real good economy to develop now, get things done now. That's an eyesore. That was originally called the Gateway Project.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a
I
gateway to
wonder-
nothing now.
I wonder if he is current with his taxes.
Huh?
I wonder if he's current with his taxes.
There's real estate taxes for
Yeah.
the city
Yeah,
of
good
Salem.
question. Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'd take that back from him by eminent domain.
We should.
But that's contaminated land.
I take it back anyways.
Yeah.
He's done nothing to it.
Nothing.
I mean, the thing
For
is
as
this:
long
if
as
it's
I can remember.
Shame on him.
if it's contaminated land and we can't build on it, which is a possibility, or it might be too costly to build on, even in spite of their capping process, it's still, it seems to me that if the city took it back and just put, mowed grass, a lawn there and mowed it, regularly,
Veterans Park.
and even if they couldn't even allow, even if they couldn't allow people to use it, it would make sense to do it to me, because rather
I
than
don't,
have it
and
be
I don't
look
believe.
like it.
I heard that you can't build on it. I don't believe that.
No, wait. No.
All the studies around the time of the building of the senior center and that site said you can't either stay overnight or you can't do certain things like cook out, but you can build on it.
Okay,
There's
yeah,
no such
right.
thing as not building on that. That
Okay.
guy should be shot.
Well, it
Okay.
was the planning board and all the other boards. He had a lot of the permitting in place, and part of it was a vapor barrier. A vapor barrier had to be put in the building, the same as they have supposedly. It was a vapor barrier, was it not, for the community life center?
Is there a
Okay.
vapor barrier for that little shack? The rest of the condo
Well,
association?
I don't know. We better check that
There's
out.
no vapor barrier, believe me.
Yeah.
No other city in
No
town.
vapor barrier, you don't think, for the senior center?
Oh,
or the-
senior center. No, I didn't
community
say
life
that.
center?
I was
Okay.
just talking about the shack.
Okay, I see.
Oh,
right,
yeah,
for the
the other
shack, okay.
community, the other.
Yeah, they're not staying
Which
spending
is
the night.
90% of the condo
That was just
association.
a point of law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No other city in town would accept that lot, being the way it is over the years. It's
Why
on 107
was
Boston.
he
which-
allowed to get away with it?
Too valuable.
Elaine Milo spent a great deal, as you well
We
know,
miss her.
on the council trying to find out why it was not being developed. Why wasn't the mayor's office doing something about it? Never got any place with it.
I still don't have the answer.
No.
Okay. It just seems to me that, yeah, I mean, you know, because of the delays on it, the residents, the taxpayers of Salem are on the hook for like $7 million that we shouldn't be on the hook for.
That's right, the senior center.
Because of the senior center aspect.
right.
We had at one point in time money, and we waited so long to build it on that
we
location.
lost the money.
We lost the money.
That was the mayor's selling point for the senior site committee. They will be paying the taxes
That was one of them.
That was
and then,
one of them.
because it was going to be
But
a
there was
condo
also $7
inside
million
that building.
It's my belief that this administration need to add on, and I agree with most of the comments that you made. But I think that as a leader, the mayor of the city had to come to the bottom of the situation and add on and make sure that things happen over there, because it costs money for the taxpayer. It's been a land that needs to be developed. We have a so-called crisis of housing, so why not try to target those type of places that we have to try to build their housing that need to be solving the situation that we have. So the mayor need to be.
We don't
acting.
want public housing in this city.
We don't
want it.
Oh,
We do not want it. It's proven over the last 20 years. Not one public housing building has been built. We don't want it. We want a developer to come in and develop it at market rates, which are even mostly unaffordable to the city of Salem and its residents.
now, I mean, the thing is, on that particular property, it was approved for 117, if my memory is correct, condominium
That's
units.
correct.
So the thing is this, you know, I've talked in the past about how the Mass Municipal Association, hardly a right-wing group, has talked about
Is
on
it?
the public, yeah,
It
not
is?
hardly is not a right-wing group, talking about the cost of these development, the residential development, is costing $1.75 in services for every dollar that is returned in taxes. Condo units are different because of the way that they're paid, for taxes are paid
And
on.
usually no
so you
children are
actually
not-
make a plus for condo unit. So if they put 117 condos there, the taxes would actually be beneficial for the city of Salem.
I think they were starting out with apartments.
Well, right, and the neighborhood
then they
association.
had hopes because
the
we
Federal
were
Street.
going to be a condo.
Yeah.
And but right now, I don't know whether the mayor. You know, Jim, I was going to say, did the mayor lie to the site committee? But I should say, correcting myself here, was it a prefabrication? It wasn't. It was just as I said to the mayor when she said about medical people wanting that spot to move into it for office space.
Yeah.
And I had checked with the medical people, and no, they did not. So I told her it was pie in the sky.
Well, I also.
Well, there's a lot of pie in the sky built up over the years. That's over, what, 12, 14 years now?
Yeah, and the Ward 3 City Council at the time, Todd
Siegel.
Todd Siegel, he pointed out the fact that typically speaking, these medical associations end up becoming nonprofits, in which case they would be paying real estate. They'd be tax exempt nonprofits, and they don't pay real estate taxes anyways. So it would not have been, so it would not have been that, and that was brought up. And I know that Jerry Ryan did at the time was. And we were talking about it earlier because his mother passed, and he was, again, panel member on here a few times, was council president at that time, and he negotiated with Mayor Driscoll that said, we have a strict time limit. It had to be something done within 2 years or whatever. And to satisfy it, they put this 10 by 10 plastic shed on there.
With a vaporizer?
With a vapor barrier, maybe or maybe not. But anyway.
In the outhouse.